Welcome, everybody, to episode 27. Ricardo, cue the song dedicated to today's guest, Sarah Brayley. Happy 4th, everybody.
Beneath the woods of ancient hills where roots have grown through walls of stone, there stand the chambers dark and still, their builders lost, their purpose gone. No written hand records their birth, no name remains upon the land, only the stones upon the earth, still resting where the builders planned. They call them cellars, cold and deep. They give them dates, they give them names. But stones remember what we lost, and silence does not prove their claims. Who built the chambers beneath the hills? Who raised the stones? Who shaped the land? Who watched the sun cross distant skies? Who left these shadows where they stand? The forest rose, the seasons turn, the names of generations fade, but underneath the roots and leaves, the ancient chambers still remain. A heavy lintel guards the door, the walls lean inward toward the night. Stone laid on stone from floor to roof, still waiting for the morning light. Were they built to guard the harvest? Were they shelters from the cold? Or were they standing long before the stories we have all been told? No answer comes from silent walls, no voice returns from underneath, but every stone becomes a question of secrets buried deep beneath. Who built the chambers beneath the hills? Who raised the stones? Who shaped the land? Who watched the sun cross distant skies? Who left these shadows where they stand? The forest grows, the seasons turn, the names of generations fade, but underneath the roots and leaves, the ancient chambers still remain. Perhaps the stones were never silent. Perhaps we simply ceased to hear. Perhaps the past was never lost. Perhaps it has been waiting here, waiting beneath the fallen leaves, waiting beneath the roots and roots, waiting for someone still to ask why these forgotten stones remain. Who built the chambers beneath the hills? Who raised the stones? Who shaped the land? The forest grows, the seasons turn, but underneath the hills of stone, the ancient chambers still remain.
No. Well,
That was great.
actually, well, I didn't try crafting it with the materials in the machine.
Ricardo's muted.
We're all
And so is
muted.
Jason. There, Jason.
We are all
There we
muted.
go.
Yes.
Okay, so we had a lecture to each of us right before we pressed go to remember to, be nice with the mute buttons when the guest is talking. And so we all just forgot about that because we were jamming to that beautiful song
It's great.
As always, yeah. Welcome everybody to episode 27. This is the Roundtable Chronicles. It looks like Ricardo's got the background for the shaman and the philosopher, but it all flies because
I do. Yes,
you
I
got
do.
the shaman and the philosopher here.
I
It's
can
okay, man. You
I
can leave
forgot
it.
about that.
You can leave it. I just noticed it too. So we do have the shaman and the philosopher here with us. We're going to get to the two that are also here. First, let's introduce everybody. You see a lady tonight, Sarah. You see SB Flint there. Say hello, but then we're going to quickly sort of go around the horn here, and then we're going to get back to handing the floor over to you.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Hi,
Hi,
thank you for
Sarah.
Okay.
yeah.
So Sarah is
Welcome
to
aboard.
audience at home. Sarah is new to sort of presenting and podcasting and live streaming also. So not only does she start out with a big congratulations, but also hand holding from all of us and you all at home as well. Because for my money, I've seen three performances so far, and she told me before we went that this will be the third. I mean, I've seen two so far. That those were the only two. So she's killing it, and we're happy to have her here. My introduction to Sarah is this, and then I'm going to pass it over to Rick and Vince because Rick, you've been avoiding us for about a month now, and so we have to have a chat.
Not
before we-
willingly.
But we have to have a chat. You remember what we said? If you tried to leave and if you wanted to come back, there was that thing. Well, we gotta do that thing before you can listen to Sarah.
Well, I
handle
didn't
that-
bring
we'll
my
handle that
goat,
after the
so
show.
how are we going to
damn.
handle it?
Damn. You knew this was coming. That's why you didn't bring him. That's why you didn't bring Ernest.
I got the cat.
Ernest enjoys it. I
No,
don't
I've been
know.
on the road solid for the last 10, 12 days, I guess. And it's about to kill me. The dark circles are possibly permanent, but
Permanent.
rounded up a lot of new information. That was pretty cool.
New
Excellent.
information. That is good.
Yeah, a little bit of new information. I'll relate that at a later time. I don't want to dig into Sarah's time on this since she needs the practice.
Well, I prepped her with the fact that we might eat up 15 or so minutes kind of bullshitting and catching everybody up because I knew you'd been, gone for a reason. So if you don't want to do it, we'll ask Vince because I think she's probably got that in her head already. And if we just put her out there, she'd be like, "What? You lied." And we don't want to do that to her. Then she'd expect all podcasters to be liars, man. We can't, we can't start it. So it's time to bullshit if you want to. Vince,
well-
how are you, sir?
I'm good. Thank you. I just wanted to share some pictures I just pulled up on these depictions, and this is what I was able to find from Putnam County Stone Chambers. And
I have that on my slide actually.
Oh wow, cool.
That's King's Chamber.
Okay. So, yeah, then I guess you've been there and you've seen this. This is amazing.
I slept in it. I've been researching it for the last 5 years straight. That's the dugout chamber at Guntuamp, I believe.
Wow.
I'm not sure. No, wait, no.
Well, that's
But
cool.
they
I'm
look
really- I'm
That one
excited.
looks similar to the one at Guntuamp. Yeah, the first one you showed, that's a pretty famous chamber. Everybody in this area knows that chamber. There was, I won't get into it really, but there was a couple of I found an artifact inside that chamber. I can't really go public with it quite yet, but 40 years ago, there was another artifact found in there. I'll go into detail about that later.
Okay, great. Vincent, do you have any updates for us on anything that's occurred recently? I know you have your new YouTube channel that we like to always mention up front because it is fledgling, and we highly encourage everybody that digs your research to go dig what you're doing with your YouTube page. But outside of that, the FOIA requests, heard anything back from Cahokia on the archaeological permit for the digging? Anything in that department for us?
Not yet. They said it's going to be by Monday. Well, I'll get a response back.
Awesome. Awesome. So we still await that. Well, everybody that's here in the audience, we'll take a look at the chat here as soon as I get Sarah going. We thank you for joining us on. We know it's a holiday. We know there are fireworks going off and all of that stuff. So we greatly appreciate it. I'm probably 50-50 on the holiday. I'm a true patriot, born and raised, and Patrick Henry, give me liberty or give me death all the way. I studied it all the way through school, but this latter half of my life has led me to this. Our buddy Moundlore had a post today where he said "too cool for British rule," and it was chuckleable. It was funny. It was good. And but then right beneath it, I put "and too cruel for native rule." Because that is now sort of my other, inclination on this holiday. Yeah. So
Congratulations, you managed to do 250 years, and you're still here.
I know only, right? It's to you, Portugal. All right. Listen, Portuguese. Let's not get started on ridiculing. You guys missed it the other night. I said Portuguese when I was talking about how you speak in Brazil, and Ricardo somehow he turned that into us joking about a porch full of gays that lived down the street. He's really working on his improv skills. It was great. All right, here's my intro for Sarah Brayley. Sarah, I will try to keep it short and sweet. Guys, I've been. She's like, no, going forever. It's what they think I do. So sometimes I play into it. I've been involved with what we call the Institute for Natural Philosophy, and that means mostly the gentleman you see over here. We're somewhere just past the year mark. And when I found this group of people, it was because I was indeed an independent researcher. And I had information that I could not, just not readily find a home for, right? And so I could not put into words, how nice it was, rather than having to rely on being made fun of at X, or ignored by official people, that instead I could find a group of people that were like myself and that valued much of what I valued, despite whatever differences the world placed upon us. And so I started saying something at the end of the show. Hey, if you're an independent researcher or, activist or anybody that believes you have information that's important to the whole, we want to talk to you, right? And to me, it means much more than anything really I could express in words. I'm trying to stretch it out for you. I see you getting warmed up there, Sarah. But I don't really have words to say other than to see a representative like yourself, right? Someone who this will be my second time interviewing. So guys, you won't hear me talking a lot because I know a lot about it. So I'm going to give you the opportunity. But to see before me somebody that represents what we mean, and for our audience to be able to see that when we say we want to talk to independent researchers, this is what we mean, and it's a fine thing to set before people, and I greatly appreciate that, and it means the world to all of us sitting around here, and that'll be my flowery words for you, and we'll leave it at that. We're going to let you get started. Take us on this adventure that I've been on a few times now, and that I'm sure everybody around this table, I know resonance, prepare to stop, because as soon as you get there, Ricardo is going to have much to dive into. I'm excited to see that.
We already discussed a pretty big part.
Well,
That's
no, but
okay.
you got to do it for the audience now, man.
I want everyone's opinion. That's the
Right.
point.
You got to make things we've known for years and years and years new all the time. That's the only problem I've noticed so far with podcasting is that things that, I've been with for years, it's like you got to find a way to, how do I make it like the day I first found it, like all the time. So heads up on that, Sarah. That's the only really downside I've noticed to it. It's not even a downside.
Well, just before Sarah starts what she has to teach us today, I just want to put this on screen and let her say a few words, so people that might be interested to know something about it. Sarah?
I'm here. It's not showing up quite. It's loading. There we go. So this is Set in Stone Megalithic Conference. This is an event that I'm co-hosting with a friend of mine. Her name's Renee Fleury. Our contact information is on the bottom there. I have a nice lineup of speakers, and it's at a public park. So I really urge people to just make a family event out of it. bring, make a picnic. There's tons of room. We have 3 pavilions and a stage outside, and then we'll be doing the lectures inside a barn. So, and even if you don't want to check out the lectures, there's plenty of things to do outside. I'll have a kitty corner, so I'll do like a mock tent that I'm going to kind of turn into a chamber and have a little scavenger hunt for them. They get a little certificate at the end when they're done, and then a little coloring area, and just a place to hang out with like-minded people and just have a really nice day.
Thank you. And a rare thing in today's conference world is free. So
Yes.
I think it's incredible that you managed to gather speakers and all the things you prepared, and you managed to do it free.
Thank you.
Which is outstanding.
It really is. I worked in
Thank
the
you.
self-storage industry back in the real world, and we used to have to put on like these events for like the community because you do it for PR when you'd open a new facility or buy one, right? And to do that was like moving a mountain, to do it for on no budget. It's very impressive to get it all and well done.
Yeah,
And anybody that is in the area or in any way whatsoever can spread word to those in the area that can assist to make the opening of this what it should be. Somebody that's giving knowledge and with a group of people out free to the public. It's a beautiful thing.
And from what I think I know, you can hear both sides of the fence, in favor and against,
Right.
on the same event.
Yeah, depending on how the day goes, we are going to do outside. We'll do like a live debate. So my plan is to where Tim is going to be at a table, probably greeting people, is have some index cards, and they can write their questions. They could be anonymous, or they can put their name on it and put it into a box. And then at some point throughout the day, what we'll do is we'll gather whoever wants to be a part of it inside of the larger pavilion and have a panel of sorts of people that have different views on the subject, and then we'll just read out, and then it'll just be like anybody's, it's a free for all in a way, but the question will be answered.
Excellent. So I'll let you continue. I'll take this out of the way. And please do. I just wanted to do a test. That is, you said you were using headphones with the microphone, right?
Right.
Can you select the microphone of the computer instead of the headphones?
How about now?
Oh, we'll figure it out when you start speaking. I'll let you know.
Yeah,
'Cause
just
the other
we'll
one-
banter. Just how was your day?
All right. Pretty good. I got the hang on, do nothing.
No, it's the same. It's the same. I
was-
don't know
I-
why. It cuts your voice when you start speaking, and then it gives like tick, 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 during your speech. I don't know.
Yeah, I would
why,
go
but-
back. I wouldn't say it got any better, so I'd go back to however you had it when you began.
Yeah, it doesn't.
And we move forward with that. Yeah, it's only when
Hang on
you
one
start.
second. Let me see. This is another option.
I think it's a matter of a filter that is trying to take noise out of your voice, but it's doing it much worse because it's cutting the
Can
sound.
you, in your producer chair, can you cut on or off the?
No, because they took those
Echo?
controls out of us.
Got it. Okay. So
Yeah.
go
Do you,
down in your-
does the
do
echo
you-
cancellation matter? Or
That's
Yeah,
where I was
yeah,
about to
that's-
guide you. Give that a shot.
No, it's good. She's spoken. That there was.
oh, it's on already. That's what I was trying to ask, because it was like one of the first things I put on.
It's
Okay,
good.
sounds good now. Everything
It's good.
sounds good now.
I don't know if you did anything or
Okay.
it's just luck. It's good.
I'm not going to touch anything anymore
Uh,
except for the share screen.
it was good.
Yeah, it's back to it. Try clicking the echo cancellation, Sarah. No, tech issues are here to relax us. That's why they happen.
Sure.
And that's why they always happen early. So just try clicking echo cancellation. And other than that, we're just going to roll with it because it seems to be in and out. And that's the only thing that would be a permanent setting. So try putting that on and let's just roll with that.
It seems
Down there
great.
under the audio.
Yep, it's on. Yep, it's on.
Sing us a song.
My singing days are over.
Oh, say, can you?
Oh.
Not by
I'm not
myself.
letting it again.
Well, I posted some questions in the chat. If you can take a look at those too, just for talking points about the site and Putnam County Chambers.
She may not know how to find all that,
Hang
the
on, one
studio
sec.
chat, Vincent.
I know
So,
that's fine.
but
I just
I'll
don't want to
take a
slow
look.
I'm like kind of paranoid because I don't want to slow the computer down because I was moving around a little bit when we
Okay.
were doing our interview with Dave, and that's what probably was messing stuff
Yeah,
up. Besides the
I
internet.
I think it's
Yeah.
because they are wireless, right? Your headphones.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's the problem. Yeah. So don't
Yeah.
worry. Just carry
All
on.
right.
Yeah, it's
So they're
just
not real
in and out.
headphones.
We're going to go
Okay.
with everything working the way it's supposed to.
Yeah.
So when you're comfortable and relaxed now, just start hitting us with the knowledge and the presentation.
All
And
right. I'm gonna
I'm
bring it
sure
up
the
now.
audio will even out. How's the chat doing?
Oh, up and down. Very good.
Who's sticking with us through the sound issues? What's going on, Sarah?
Hi.
Oh, has yours finally started doing that? All I can read, because listen, Sarah, how's that letter? This is all so I'm going to try to read what you're saying. Mine was popping like that once,
Just
and it was the USB port on my PC. If it continues, plug the mic into a different port and try again. That's
there's
advice
no
from Sarah.
plugging in. They are wireless.
They're
It's
wireless.
Bluetooth.
Yeah, yeah. I was just filling air though.
Okay, I see the slides. This looks great.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, wait, hang on.
Can you click slideshow to share the whole screen? Yeah.
Jeez, please. Yep, it's.
There we go.
I think it's going off right now.
Almost acting like a bandwidth issue.
Is anything coming up?
Let me give you another suggestion that will take only like a minute to do. That is,
She could
keep
send it
the-
to- she could
keep
send it to one of
this,
us.
keep this just to share the screen. Cut the camera out and the microphone out and enter again with the link through your phone, like Rick is. And maybe the phone will do a better job than what the computer is doing, and just
Okay.
use the computer to share.
Well, it's what's working now. I think on my screen it's working.
Yeah, the sharing is working great now. It's
The
what
share
you-
is, it's just when Sarah
The
speaks,
audio.
it gets very muddled. So if you want to come in again, don't come out, just come in again through your phone and cut then the image and the microphone from the computer.
Do you understand what he's advising? I think we lost her. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. Hang on.
Okay, there she is.
Oh, I think she got out because I have a message saying that her recording has stopped.
I'm here.
No,
Oh, you
she's
are here.
dude. Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
So another way it could be done also is she could send the program to one of us or put it here in the chat, not the public chat, the studio chat, or just send it to one of us and we can show it and you can log in on mobile. Either, I mean, it's simple any of those ways.
Yeah, it's just only 2 minutes to do. And people will bear with us because this is live. That's what happens.
Well, everybody's here to learn. So yeah, either one of those ways we'll get that done just fine. I'm not sure what's going on with the connection.
I think he can't handle everything, image and voice and the
Yeah.
Bluetooth.
Okay, so she's just going to take our advice and rig it around. So we will continue shortly with Sarah Brayley, guys. There she is. Boom. Oh, see it. She knows what she's doing. That was quick.
Oh, the chat drives me nuts. My eyes are just.
I know the Riversideness. That's
It
why I've
drives
got
me
the
nuts.
chat
It
up on
drives
my
me nuts.
phone. so I
I'm
can
sorry if
follow
I'm not
everybody.
putting everything from the chat because the chat is just like this. So we're trying to read and
All right. Let's see if it'll work again. Sorry, guys.
no worries.
No sorries. No sorries. All part of the process. I mean, we're live. That's what happens. So while we do this,
What I did was I had up my slides to be safe. Hang on.
So apparently, Vincent, we're not allowed to say that we live on stolen land anymore. I heard that in a presidential speech today.
Oh, really? That's
I have a
interesting.
suggestion.
Yeah.
I truly have a suggestion.
Go ahead,
Okay.
Rick.
Take
Go for
all
it.
the BLM land that the government was not supposed to retain, the federal government was not supposed to retain, and give it back to the tribe with all the oil and everything else that's under it.
So basically, that's not happening.
Yeah, I know, but it should. And there's no reason that the federal government should be making commercial money off oil wells. Just saying.
Yeah, I didn't like that it was said that's important to our future, that we have to stop saying that, and that we can't denigrate European heroes like Christopher Columbus, who we know wasn't the first, and he was a pretty shitty human being. It's on record, and that's why his own country took him back in chains. It was confusing part of the speech.
Yes, indeed.
Okay, can you pull up the slideshow?
It's loading right now because it wound up. What it did was it connected to the studio automatically.
Okay.
I exited out.
Shoot it to one of
So
us. We'll fix that
What I'm
problem.
doing is I'm trying to.
Just send it. You have the
Yeah,
email.
I'm trying to
of
get
every-
onto the link so I can send it.
Yeah, you
you
can
have
reply to that email with it.
you have the email of everybody. Just send it to that email, and Jason will grab it.
Yeah, no problemo.
Because
And then,
as
then you
Steve
can
is
quit taxing your computer with that,
Yeah.
and everything should be fine.
as Steve is saying, there's never technical difficulties. This is the first. So
Yeah, right. So you must be special, because nothing ever blows up on this show. I promise you. Only twice a week. So only twice a week do we have audio or tech issues on this show. That's just the theme of this show. I don't know what it is. I think maybe it's something about Riverside and their group ability, because this is kind of our only group, show where there's usually multiples on.
I'm
other
glad.
than-
I'm glad we are not conspirationists. Otherwise,
Well, it's true. We do talk about the fact that, when you take over a nation and take all the natives and send them to a concentration camp and take everything they lived on and build what you want, I don't know another word used than stolen. I don't. Maybe I lack.
Well, they were sending them out of the
education.
country as well, technically. So
Yeah. Truth of our past is important to our future. We stand kind of firm on that. It's in fact one of our main slogans at the Institute for Natural Philosophy. So everybody, listen, guys around the table, I need to warn you now, those pretty ladies that seem to come up and recognize you in real life. Okay. From now on, they're not fans. They're CIA handlers. All right. Be careful out there.
likewise.
Been
for
there,
Brad
done
Pitt.
that.
what I'm gonna do is Ricardo, I'm gonna send you the email I'll just go off of the other slide because I did make a new slide for you guys. But what I'll do is I'll send you the one that I sent to Dave.
Yeah.
And then that way it should work.
So what your new one's not saved, so you can't send it? Or?
It's taking too long to load. So
Oh,
Oh.
well, okay, whatever.
I
Yeah.
think that went. It's I just what I did was I piggybacked off of the old one,
Yeah.
and what I did is I just updated Project Aurora onto it and all the stuff. Here we go. Never mind.
Well, you'll be more comfortable, and in general, this we'd like to sort of conversate around on points, so it'll go perfect. Just you just send the one you're comfortable with. You already know. There were several slides when I was watching this with you and Dave where I was like, okay, I know Vince is gonna have shit to say here. I know Ricardo's gonna have shit to say here, and I know Rick's gonna want to talk about this. So I think it'll work perfect.
What? Yeah. Hang on. Yeah, it's got to be my internet too because I'm on a Chromebook, so it's a basic,
Yeah. No worries.
high techy.
Ricardo, you should have an email. You on the lookout for it?
I'm looking for it.
10-4.
Hang on.
All right, so let's look at.
I have a question about, you mentioned finding artifacts in there. Can you tell us about those while we're loading it?
I can talk about the one that there was a gentleman. So when I first started researching the chambers, and this story about the dagger came up, and obviously I was so intrigued by that. So what happened was, I went on a book hunt, I could say, because the story that I was told in the initial research was completely different than the one that I found out. So what I was told first, if you want to hear the beginning story of it, is that there was an
Have you
archaeologist and
sent the
anthropologist from
email?
Vassar. I'm trying.
Sorry.
My internet's were slow, so it wasn't loading. Hang on one sec.
Oh.
Yeah, it keeps on breaking up. The voice is like, cutting
Yeah.
out.
Yeah,
But
just let her do her thing, Vincent,
And then
we'll.
she can change to mobile.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that will solve
Don't.
it.
We don't have to get her all into it. So we'll just look at something else. Here, Vincent, you were asking about this. I don't know if Rick had seen it. It looks. We can see what he thinks of it while we wait on this. Share. X. So I got it in my backpack out there. I just need to bring it home and clean it off. I mean, bring it in and clean it off.
Cobbled together a few here on this island, and straight away you start to notice some oddities, such as this one, very very flat on the bottom. You see here, this is impacted, right? It goes through. You see a little air bubble right there when I pressed on it. Okay, so that goes all the way through, and then you look here, and right there it's impacted, but it goes in and it comes out on this side,
The bottom there.
there, and then there. So perhaps decorative, needs a cleaning, more of the same.
Yeah, so that was the piece that Vincent was talking about.
Yeah, looks like a pendant to me.
Yeah, I mean, it sure does. It's what caught my eye. I mean, it's why I picked it up. No doubt.
Yeah, I found several like that too. And if it's drilled like you found on both sides, looks like it's drilled from both sides or
From
counter drilled.
both. Right.
And then in that hole that goes diagonally through the bottom and up through the middle of it, that's a good indication that it may have been tied to a feather. And I think oftentimes they would put a feather through them to represent, their clan symbol. And
Yeah, that's what I'd have figured, either to affix something else for a decorative purpose, or if they somehow wore it to like affix it to another piece. I mean, somehow part of a greater,
yeah,
a greater whole, I guess I should say. But yeah, it was cool. It's a cool island, and
Very
yeah,
cool.
I find a good bit of stuff like that out there, man. I'm working on several theories about why the hell all of this stuff is on that same island. And most of it revolves around its location, its geography. It's right next to the impact crater. I mean, you could hit a golf ball. You see the impact crater. It's the first bend in the Coosa River, where if you were coming down the river, you would have in your line of sight the impact crater, right? And it's right where Corn Creek, literally in front of where Corn Creek empties into the Coosa. And Corn Creek, if you know the geographical region, is the first creek where you start to see waterfalls and these big rocks, thanks to the impact crater, obviously. But to a native experience, at least, walking the earth, it would stand out for many, many reasons. Yeah, so it's just curious to me for all those
Well,
reasons.
hopefully she comes back.
She will.
Okay.
You then add in the mound of potentially the son of Chief Tuscaloosa at the site of Mobilla, modeled on that impact crater, and then you have another layer of meaning added to this island, where I'm finding all this stuff, Vince.
Okay, Jason. Sending it your way.
Okay, cool. We're ready. And then she should be coming in on mobile audience. So sorry, guys, but this is the real world, and we like to give platforms to people that haven't done a lot of this.
There's a serious problem there because the file is only 4 megabytes. So
I'm sure it'll be fine. Okay,
did you get the email?
Yeah, and then he forwarded it to me, to my email, Ricardo.
Yeah.
10-4. Now I just need to refresh that. Refresh. There it is.
I was going to piggyback back and forth with the other one, but this one should start off with like a decent amount.
No. This message.
And thank you. I can hear you wonderfully now.
Okay, good.
Wow, fantastic.
Yeah, everything's perfect. This message cannot be loaded at this time, Ricardo. Try again.
It says sent on my side. But it's only 4 megabytes. I'm going to send you directly to you. Oh, you don't have Discord on the computer.
No, send it to X. You can do it to X. That's pulled up right now and ready to rock.
Okay, so let me open you on X. Just a second.
But yeah, this is not. My email is not liking this one. We're gonna get there. Boy, this must be some powerful damn information, Sarah. If we're getting all of this resistance. Pulling in every platform we know and nobody likes it. It's because I said we live on stolen
25
land.
Slides. 35 slides.
All right, Ricardo.
Enough.
I'm in X.
Just a second.
So while we're waiting, Sarah,
Go, Rick.
I had the last 10 days to spend with an older gentleman who's been chasing some of these mysteries for 40 odd years. And we talked a great deal about who reached Iceland before Eric the Red.
Probably the Vaughn. I froze on my end.
Now you should get it.
You're looking good on our end. We're just waiting for me to boom. Got it. Thank you. Download PDF, rock and roll. Download.
Yeah, the Irish monk.
Yes, I've heard of that. You kind of like, on my end, you were frozen.
Just playing ball with the chat, trying to hit the button at the right time.
How's that? Is that full screen?
Yep.
I can't see Rick anymore.
Oh, you'll come back.
Okay.
Just
Can you see? Can you see your?
I can see my
PDF?
stuff. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And let me get page function down. There we go. There. Okay. Producer is in place now.
Now you just have to exercise your capacity on next slide, please. So Jason will do it.
Operation Center Place, tactical field briefing, unlocking the bioelectric machinery of the Northeast Resonant Network.
Yes. All right. So this is just a rendition. It's just an infographic of like the generalized area that I've been studying these stone chambers. And so far I've seen 73. And I would say about 5 of them in particular that I've been like calling home, where I really got to like sleep in them, hang out, and get to vibe with them a little bit more than the others.
I really appreciate that part of it. You know, that struck me both times, Sarah. That you spend a lot of time vibing with your research in a physical manner. You know, it's important.
And Vince, you know all about NAGPRA. So all of my work is non-invasive, and I do adhere to NAGPRA strictly. And anything that I do find goes into their system called CRIS, and anybody can make a report. You don't have to be an expert. So it helps when they compile their data together when they are going into 36 CFR, when they do have to apply the law.
Right. I was wondering if there are any native tribes or federally recognized tribes that are accessing or claiming that these are their ancestral grounds, or that they're associated with these locations.
So I was talking to the guys about this before, and so when we were talking about culture and the timeline that matters, I didn't really elaborate on it in the last interview. You know, when you go over stuff, you're like, oh, I should have said that, or I should have did this. But
Yeah.
so to exercise that aspect of it, so what is going on here is that we see a cultural separation, not so much ancestral, because they are their ancestors, but since they and that's where our language as Americans gets confused, because then we were like, oh, they're not claiming them. You know, obviously they're not going to claim something they didn't do, because that's not right. And so when we talk about who's the stewards and the protectors of it, right now, all of them are in the Northeast, and they will claim that. You know, they might not, like I said, outright say that that it's theirs, because they didn't build it, right? So, like I said, they're being honest and truthful when they're saying that they didn't build them, but they are the stewards of the land. So when we're talking about claiming, as of right now, no one is claiming these, because everyone has passed on. And so the important thing to note is that I'm not the first or the last. And in regards to that is there are people, just because I'm talking about these right now doesn't mean that people like Rick was trying to say before he kind of got still there, is that there have been people doing this, you know, and to their grave, you know, like been doing this work for a while, you know, 40 plus years. So
Yeah.
what I'm talking about is not new. And so right now, who I'm working with would be the Stockbridge Munsee Mohican band, and they do have they're based in Bowler, Wisconsin, but they do come home to Massachusetts regularly, and they do have a home base there. And so Bonnie Hartley and Jeff Brenderman, and so they're the ones that I would be talking to when I do, like, aside from making a report with Chris, if I have to speak to somebody verbally, those are the people that I reach out to. And lately I went and started expanding, and I was already trying to reach out to as many natives as I could, you know, tribal council wise. And so the most recent would be a Narragansett tribal member who's a medicine man, who was the one that kind of confirmed that data for me when he was talking about them being biotechnologies originally.
That's very interesting. Yeah, I'd like to hear more about that.
Yeah, you know, and I have to respect, you know, everybody with what the information that they want to release, because we do have a cultural, not even just race, boundary here. And so when they don't want to talk about their data, it's because that belongs to them, you know, and that
Right.
belongs to their kin, you know. So out of respect, you know, with this research in particular, I've done my very best to try to educate the public and not make enemies at the same time.
That's getting harder and harder to do.
I don't care. It's you gotta, you know, it's like
I don't either.
shit or get
Just
off
a
the
note.
pot. You know,
Just
it's
a
like
side note.
if, like I said to you before, especially like with the area that I'm in with as a historian, it's like if I don't talk about certain things, then maybe in the next 50 or 100 years, that maybe the next guy who takes the tour, I'm not going to wait 50 or 100 years for the data to get out there. So that's why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Or for it to get lost forever.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it is always a very complicated problem. That because NACPRA is a good thing, but it has a dark side too, and that is when
Everything does, yes.
when these things can't be traced, and we can't use the power of NACPRA to safeguard them or to protect them. It seems that they become even more vulnerable after that is being tried than before, because now they have the knowledge that they exist, and if it is not fitting on the current dogma, because that's what it is, then they tend to eliminate it, and we've seen that on Powers Bluff by Jeff and Jermaine Pigeon, that they were trying everything to erase all the signs that could lead to a possible connection to some people of the past, right? And in here,
so I want to connect you with a gentleman named Sean Stevens from the Red Road Reclamation. I spoke with him the other day, and he's been a very on both ends. Like I support him, and he supports me. So he was like my first friend, really, when it comes down to this research and reaching out to people, because you do want to help, and you know that. And so when you talk about, tribal council or government in general, you are walking this tightrope, right? And I'm not political. I don't claim to be, I don't even vote, but
good on you.
Yeah, I try.
I mean,
but
blood on your hands either way.
He's like my
Can
informant.
you spell Sean's last name for me?
Stevens?
Can you spell his last name? Yeah.
S-T...
Is that with a V or?
Yeah. What I'll do is I'll send you guys all the information, because I did speak with him and he did give me the okay for you guys to connect, and he would be a great person to talk to, especially like on your show or just like in general, because what he's doing is him and his sister created this nonprofit organization called the Red Road Reclamation, and they were so last year was their very first powwow since their removal, and it was held at the Darrow School in New Lebanon in Connecticut. And so I was able to go there because they invited me, and anybody could have gone. It's not like I had a special invite, but it was almost like a beginning to a beautiful relationship when we're talking about like trying to move things forward. And he's really aimed towards the youth, so he has a lot of youth programs, and they have they've been trying their hardest to come back home and teach, the little guys, what their heritage is. And that's what matters, especially when we're talking about like who's going to be taking the torch. It's obviously the little guys. They're going to be taking it over eventually. So, and if we could get in there and do what they had done to us for so long with indoctrination, then we are making a stride and we are making a difference,
Yes. Yes, we thank you. That's very thoughtful of you to put the connection together. We would love that.
Oh, of course.
Okay, are we ready for another slide? Guys,
sure,
this map
go ahead.
catches me, as I've told her before, just because I guess I didn't realize the number and the scattered, locations of these chambers. Everybody is maybe, that is into the community we are, has seen a picture of a chamber, is aware of them, but to see represented here something that looks like a county in Ireland with all of its stone cairns and dolmens every 10 feet you go, I was very shocked to see this map.
Well, as Rick was trying to point out too, it goes beyond this area that I've just depicted here. It goes into all the way to Maine, into Canada, probably, I'm sure, and then Pennsylvania. I did find a one-off over in California. So, I mean, they're all over. And when we're talking about like worldwide, yeah, we see them all over the world. It just obviously different architectures and different structures. But
have you tried to put all the dots that you have, not just this one, but all of them, into a good AI and tell him to recognize, for instance, constellations or alignments?
Yes. Oh yeah. Okay. I piggyback off of AI. I know everybody like wants to dog AI, but if you fact check, what you put in and make sure that, you have to run it through the system to make sure that what you're putting in is correct, right? You're not just going to take anything at face value and just whatever it spits out. So a lot of my work is just, because before I met you guys, it was just, I was just doing, I was fact checking myself. I didn't have any peer review, per se to like help me along the way when, and I don't mind being wrong. I tell everybody all the time, like, and I think that's why a lot of like the historical, community that I'm in right now, they don't like me because I'm okay with changing my viewpoints, and I'm not going to be, stagnant in one spot for probably too long.
Well, just a short note on that. When people dismiss the great, immense help that are good AI systems, not all of them are good.
Well, I gave her a hard time on her appearance on Dave. I saw that when I watched yesterday. But that's because, I sometimes in those very long interviews like that, I'll take an opportunity to sort of put an overall stance. But to be clear, I have problems with the people that are in charge of AI. I have problems with the fact that the government has had this shit for probably 50 years, and who knows what it actually does now, and we're just getting handed the tools, right? The tool is cool as shit, right? And is very, very, very helpful. We've used it. We used it in some research. Ricardo uses it all the time in research, which he's kind of my research on most things, so I use it all the time. So yeah, I just want to be clear with that.
But I dedicated more than a year training my own AI, which is much different than go to ChatGPT.
Yeah, I've trained Google at this point, so all I have to do is type in a keyword. So I write Jarvis, and then it knows that we're going to go down some rabbit holes, and we're going to be doing stuff like I've had a few times where it was like, yeah, I can't answer you because my glue system, just my glue code doesn't work on this.
Slide 3.
This is just showing adaptive reuse, or the palimpsest, where we see the original era where they were used for the biotechnologies or nodes, and then different cultures coming in and using them for, when we're talking about adaptive reuse, they're going to use them for whatever they want to use them for, right? If it's a building, it's a building.
Yeah, I
agree. Go ahead, Ricardo.
Sorry, because in my research on the megalithic age, and I'm talking about Europe because I'm trying to find for the last 2 years the megalithic age in America, which I was told for many years that doesn't exist. There aren't megaliths in America, right? But there
that's
are.
Why.
Yeah, but from my
Vince,
research,
that.
Yeah. From my research on Europe, especially on Iberia, I found that by the time the survival era came, which I put around 4000 BC, they have already forgotten how it works. It was still working, but there was very little people that knew what is the mechanism behind it, right? It's like none of us knows how the television works or a computer, but we all use it. But we don't know how to use it.
Well, you can have a TV, but if you don't have the means to turn it on or the remote, then it's not going to work.
Yeah, but they were still active till the collapse. They were still doing ceremonies. The systems were still active. The populations were still living in the plains, just next to these monuments, to these structures. There was no social status differences. There was a shaman or a leader position, and everybody lived in the same type of houses, same size, on the open. But I put the origin era that you have there way back in time, possibly close or even before the Younger Dryas, because we have the natives talking about 2 ice ages, so it has to be even further back than that.
Oh, there's been tons of ice ages, and I was telling
they have
the
oral
guys
tradition.
That, right. Well, when even if you had something like a tornado or a hurricane that came through for a building, you're going to rebuild it, right? And you're going to, if you had the knowledge, you knew what it was for. So, especially like in my area, like I was telling them, like the boreal forest, like when we talk about what building materials they were using, why they were using granite, obviously they needed it for this particular structure, right? But when we talk about like from the time they stopped doing that, whatever time that was, till like even the 1700s, we see them building with cedar and earth, like earth and mounds, right? So there was no boreal forest when the Laurentide ice sheet first left.
Sure.
So that's why we see them really building with granite mostly.
I have an article about a cave where a shaman still does the ceremonies there regularly that involve acoustics. They sang, they sung, and everybody gets to these altered states of consciousness. And so these researchers went there to study the phenomenon. And obviously, being from archaeoacoustic studies, an academic on it, he tried to talk to the shaman and said, so do you know exactly how it was built? Because there is this acoustics. And there are two chances here. One, the shaman didn't want to admit the use of the technology. And the other one, which seems to be unfortunately the reality of it, he had no idea.
Right.
So he only knew that it works, but he had no idea that the site was creating the effect through
Which
the
is so
chanting.
sad because he's missing out on the whole aspect of it, really. He's getting the benefits of it. He's just not understanding like the whole, it's not like he's getting like 50%.
Yeah, to him it was just like the chant attract the spirits and everybody entered into a trance, and it never crossed his mind that it was the site itself that his ancestors gave him and the chants that his ancestors gave them that combined together to create the trident of frequencies to create then the state.
I wonder if it wasn't so much that he didn't know, but maybe the interest, too, because like you can like something to a point, right? And then like I said, like anybody that's an engineer, like Evans, and like I love a building, but some people might not want to know how it was built. They might not care about that part of it,
Well, I wanted to say I really like your timeline here. It's amazing and really important how you presented it.
Thanks.
The structural adaptive reuse. I find that you're right on, and this sort of this categorization of how things changed in the colonial era to amnesia phase. I mean, it's like they forgot about everything else that came before then, and a lot of times during that era, they thought they just forgot about everything and tried to say it was just now discovered. They changed it to a root cellar, not acknowledging any of the future or the previous uses of it. So I think what you did here is really, really brilliant and and right on with the uses.
Well, I was telling the girls and the guys too that at one point, it's a little strange to me though, because we see these in Ireland and we see these in Scotland. So when we say like these people from Europe came here to colonize our area and they didn't know what they were, obviously we see something that was worldwide that was forgotten, because they didn't know obviously when they got here, because if they did, they would have been using them as such, right? They wouldn't be readapting them to something else.
Absolutely agreed. Yeah, this was a great slide. Thank you, Vince, for the comments there and the additions. And I've already told you in our last interview that I really like this slide. It's very well done. Okay, my job now is to click, and I got to bring that back up. I have to change so I can see you guys. There we go. Okay.
So this is me just talking about how we've kind of just like talked about this actually. So, I brought in like the Great Pyramids and the resonance of the chambers. And when we're talking about copper too, I was, I don't know if I put it in this slide, but when we're talking about certain chemicals that were used to harden, whether it's bone or metal, arsenic came up. And I'm not sure what you guys think about that, but obviously that's a very deadly chemical to be putting into the mix. But it was effective according to the research and inside the archives. So I was wondering what your thoughts were on that.
Yeah, arsenic. I mean, I heard it's a byproduct that it could have been associated with copper working.
Okay.
So the arsenic is included it was included before Rick Wasserman would be ideal for this question, but the arsenic was included before the tin was being used to create bronze, because it helps hardening the stone, the metal. So if you look at the Otsis X, the
Yeah.
Otsis, the Iceman.
He had arsenic.
His axe is midway between simple copper and bronze, right?
Okay.
Because he used a very
Yeah.
special
So
mixture. Are you Derek?
hi. Yeah. I just had trouble getting back in.
Oh, I can't
There
see
are a
you.
couple of metals in Otzi's
That's
axe.
because of the layout you have, Ricardo.
No,
That's
I
on
have
you.
all of us. I have all of us on the layout. So
Okay, we'll try a different
Yeah.
one.
So
Oh,
Otzi's
wow.
axe included arsenic and lead. And they keep trying to say it just came that way and he melted it down that way. But that's just not how it works. Both of those additive metals lower the melting temperature of the copper, which by itself is quite high.
Right.
And the additional benefit is that the arsenic, particularly the way he did it by adding more right at the edge and then work hardening it, it makes it hard, but not hard enough to cut granite, as you noted. But that's not
But
what he was
wouldn't that
cutting.
negate their whole theory of them not being able to work metal? Like they said they had no metallurgy because they were only cold
Yeah.
working the copper.
Yeah, well, that's definitely not true with Otzi's axe because it's poured.
Right.
Right.
Well, there's a lot of data out there that they did in fact work copper and melt it and use smelting.
Right.
It's
They
just
did.
not commonly acknowledged among archaeologists because they didn't want to admit that natives had smelting technology. But
Well, there's some. I'm sorry. Oh, go ahead.
sorry,
I'm getting excited.
No, go ahead.
I have a lady who's going to be at the event, and she's always telling me that everything's a bloomery. So, we do see some stone structures that could have been used for smelting, and they're not talking about the slag that they might, which they probably will find if they even admit it. And, the structure is still there. So some of the stone chambers that I put up and stuff like that, she's always like, oh, that's a bloomery, or that's this, or that's that. It's possible that they could have took something that was probably the same size as a human, a normal average human, and then made it into something big like a stone chamber. Like when we see these structures, we are seeing them used for multiple reasons. They're not just used for one reason.
Oh, of course, they had different functionalities. Yeah.
Yeah.
Trying to find. Is this it? Let's see if this is it. Oh, yes, this is it. Okay, so let me open this. I'll share this so you see the differences. Take over the screen share. Yes, I will take over the screen share. So let me zoom in. So in there you can see the difference between, this is Otzi's axe, bronze and copper by itself. You see the difference in arsenic?
Wow.
A lot more in
Oh.
Otzi's axe.
Right?
He was dying from arsenic. If he wasn't killed by the shaft, he was already dying by poisoning. Right? So, and arsenic was the essential. But he also had a high amount of nickel, a high amount of lead, which is uncommon, a little bit of tin, which is not enough to make bronze, but a little bit of tin, and some zinc, which all of this is added. If you can see what copper brought and what he put it on. So by this time, 3300 BC, this man already knew how to create an axe that was extremely durable. It was extremely shiny and pretty, right? And when they say that it was made with copper and lead from Tuscany, it's a lie. They only tested the lead, right? They don't
I have
know.
some new information on that, but it'll have to wait for a day or two.
Okay. Well, it can't be, because whatever you can say, it will only help us to confirm it, because according to the museum and to the lab that I contacted directly to know how much pure was the copper on the X, and it was
Well,
hard to
it
get
has more to
information.
do with the name of Tuscany, but
Yes, the name of
place
Tuscany. I
names
see. Yeah,
place names never lie. I'll come back to that one in a
yeah.
week or so.
Because Otsizek is 99.77% pure copper. So if we consider tiny impurities in the process of heating it up to put it in the mold, it can't come from ore, because you can't get higher than 99.5, 99.6, and that's from very good chalcopuric ore, right? Because if it is sulfidic, you rarely go to 90%. So it's above
And
the
if he had,
threshold.
yeah,
Sorry,
and if he
go
had
ahead.
not added arsenic and lead, it would have been 99.99.
Exactly. So it is Michigan copper. That X, they don't allow testing on it because it is Michigan copper. Right. So it's been closed at 7 doors behind the glass. No one can touch it. No one can drill it. No one can do nothing because they have no idea how to explain that it came from Michigan, right? So, well, I'm sidetracking and I'm going to stop the share. Okay, thank you. You're ready, Kat.
Back to the
No, that's
blueprint.
awesome.
Yeah, that absolutely was. Thank you, Ricardo, as always, for showing that Otzi was right in between the two and had some Michigan copper in his hands, mapping the 110 hertz acoustic resonance and Helmholtz properties of ancient stone structures. Sarah?
It's kind of small for my eyes. Sorry.
Yeah,
So
it's
here
too
you have the physics documenting the quartz piezo
There we go.
electric properties. Is that good?
Mhm.
Of granite under gravitational stress. Okay.
And then we're talking about the organization of the science in dense rocks acting as electromagnetic and radiation protection during solar plasma events. So this would be during when we're talking about the adaptive reuse, maybe through CMEs or CRMEs, and so the obviously they were watching the sky and they knew what was going on. So probably when we're talking about certain civilizations such as Göbekli Tepe, and like that's just a more recent one that we can date back, by like 9,000 plus years old to prove our points about how the ancients knew what was going on in regards to how we see the sky today. They were able to have maybe like shelters of sorts, so when we're talking about these stone chambers, that's what I mean by that.
I have a question. If there were any archaeoastronomical alignments, like solstice alignments, anything like that were discovered?
All of them have an alignment to something. And lately, my research has been going into the lunar aspects as well, because a lot of people want to focus on just the solar, either summer solstice or winter solstice, equinoxes. And one of my favorite chambers that I've spent the last, in August, it'll be 5 years, has a lunar aspect to it. And I don't know if I have it on the slide because I was trying to make a new one for you guys, and I was just going to toggle back and forth. But
yeah, that's why I was just going to look and see if we had any.
No, I don't think I have it on this one. But
Okay.
It's basically that snake chamber that I told you guys about before. So what's going on with that chamber is that we have a detached glacial erratic. I would call it detached because if you're looking at it anatomically from an aerial view, it has a long barrel body. So the body is about 131 feet long, and at the end of it, there's a tail that's about I think 4 feet by 3 feet. So it's quite big, and that would look like the end of a tail. And so in the beginning part of the chamber where the doorway is, the detached head is literally taken off and then turned to a 90-degree angle to look at a window off to the side of the chamber. So when it's looking into this window, when I did check on my compass to see where it was, like what degree it was at 13 degrees north. So when I started looking into this, I started realizing, because we're in a lunar standstill right now, and so my goal is by the end of the year to see if it tracks with some sort of lunar alignment. and whether it's the rise of, or setting of it, I'm not quite sure yet. So it's in the mix.
Wow, thank you. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just want to say, Rick, it's a miracle we can hear you because you are not in the studio. I have the people in the studio opened, the menu, and you are not in it. So I don't know how you did it.
I'm sneaky.
It must be because I can't show you because you are
He's
not.
Oz. That's what I'm going to call him from now on.
Yeah, you are not in the studio, so I don't know what to tell
I'm
you.
here though. This is your problem.
Yes,
Not mine.
No, but so that we can see you, since you managed to be here, can you just log out and log in so we have your image?
Okay.
He likes being the voice in the sky, telling all us earthlings what to do.
Exactly.
I said pause, I know more, and I have no body, so you have to listen.
Yes.
That was his game. All right. Carry on, Sarah. Where should I be? This slide or
you can go to the next slide.
Okay.
Thank you. This is like a general reference of what a cellar, or like when we're talking about root cellars and comparing them to the stone chambers, what dimensions we're really looking at here.
So for our audience, we're doing this because in the colonial period, I'm guessing they repurposed some of these things and they built homes or used them for root cellars and this stuff, right? So then there's the, I guess, accusation today that many of these things are just root cellars. Is that
right?
Correct?
And I'm not discounting the root cellars, that they were not existent. They obviously are. But that when we're talking structurally, they're not the same.
Okay.
And so my research is trying to prove definitively that that's not the case, that they are not root cellars, that these were here way before that.
Brilliant.
So where do the chambers that you've been finding fit on those sizes?
So the largest chamber, which would be the one that Vince brought up, that's called the King's Chamber. And so when we measured it, it was 9 feet wide by 36 3/4 of an inch long. And the height of it is 9 feet internally. Externally, the height gets larger because it looks to me, I wish I had it on the slide to show you guys, but it looks to me like a platform pyramid. If we're going to compare them to a pyramid. And we see the structure kind of come up and then it plateaus, right? So it would come up, I would say probably 13, 14 feet high on the outside.
That's not a root cellar.
No.
No.
Not at 800 feet elevation in the middle of the woods away from any development whatsoever.
No, and probably aligned to several celestial bodies. Yeah.
Yep.
Sure.
It is aligned to summer solstice.
Exactly. On
coincidence.
On Discord,
coincidence.
Our Discord group, we added a section for Tammy to start. Not Tammy and Sarah, because Tammy, you guys see in the chat there, she's friends with Sarah and is into these exact same structures. We made them a little channel, and it's called "It's Not a Root Cellar," right? Because that's definitely not a root cellar. Okay,
we're making some slogans here. We had boats, not a root cellar.
Boats, that's not a root cellar. Yep. Only people in know what we're talking about. That's why you got to come get in at the Institute for Natural Philosophy. Find us on Discord. Go ahead.
I do want to mention to Rick before we lose him again if we do. You were talking about the monks, right? Coming in here way before Columbus. So there's a site in Gunjiwap. I have it in the slide here. And with that particular site, it's really interesting. I don't know if you know it. It's in Groton, Connecticut. It's about 5 minutes from Mystic. And on this site, they allegedly have graffiti from the monks that came to visit. So there's a talus cave in that area that I haven't seen yet. I was planning on going this summer at some point to see it. And so once
can you tell me what script it was?
I think they were they were not a specific. All they were saying is that it looked like they were Sistine monks. Is that how you say it? Cistercian monks.
Or Cistercian.
Right. So, and also
Maybe.
with Ludingtonville, where that snake chamber, I call it the guardian chamber, is. I have a few locals that have these odd looking, not wells, but they're squared. They're squared off, and then they have like levels to them. So they kind of like dip down in, and who knows how far they go down. The owner was afraid because I asked, "Can you just put a stick down there to see how far you go? You know, like how like where is this coming? Obviously, like an open spring below it, I would assume. I don't think that it was just like capturing some rain." But he is willing to let me do a survey on his property, so maybe that's in the works for this summer as well. There are indications of them being here.
I
St.
have
Brennan.
a request. When you go survey it, could you please get me the lot and long and lat,
Sure.
or even just the latitude? Actually, that's all I really need.
Not a problem.
So, Sarah, most of, if not all, of these active and multifunctionality sites, they all have underground moving water. So
right,
running
aquifers of sorts,
So,
yes.
yeah.
All of them, I mean, 98% are near waters, bodies of water. So
Yeah.
whether it's a moving stream or just a pond or, you know, when we're talking about aquifers, it's a possibility.
Yeah. And
And
you
yeah.
can add that to the bands of rivers, never in the straits. They're always close to bands of rivers when the river is present.
Right. And I thank you for bringing that up, because a lot of people want to call them ice houses too. Like that's in the mix here. And so when we're talking about like the Hudson River or the Mahikanituck is what the natives call it, because it is an estuary. It's a river that flows both ways. And so we have a situation where we don't see these near the river. And I think at that point in time, you know, this is just a theory, we have Glacial Lake Albany, and it was not possible to build these structures on the river because at 10,000 years ago, they were not, you know, the landscape was unavailable. It was underwater.
And if you go and look, for instance, in Portugal, there is a very famous ice factory from the 16th century up, and you'll see what is needed to create ice underground. Right? And these cellars have nothing to do with those structures. So I very much doubt that they have any ice making purposes. Because it's easy. Just Portugal ice factory from 16th to century or 18th century, because they operated all the way until the 20th century. They were still making ice, and it's
right.
all
we
done.
call it white gold here
Yeah.
in Athens. That's the historian. We had 9 ice houses, and the largest one was 400 feet by 100, and it was about, I think they said it was like 6 stories high. It's massive.
Yes.
So you're not looking at like these tiny little stone well, I mean, not tiny. The lintel stones are about 4 tons, so they're big.
They
But,
would need to go.
We're talking about
underground. Yeah, they would need to go very much underground. Yeah.
Right. This slide is probably one of my favorites when I first started understanding. When we're talking about the center place, we're talking about essentially like your ability to realize your place in this universe, like how you sit on this planet. And the Hopi habit tradition, this is kind of where I started from, because they were told to go in 6 directions. And like I told you guys before, when we talk about directions, we're always like looking at the cardinal directions. We forget about the zenith and the nadir, so we lose that the dimensions, you know what I mean, when we're talking about our space. And so that's why the stone chambers are important, because you know you can achieve the knowledge on your own without a, you know, like a church or a building or anything like that. But to have an amplification, that's what would be the purpose for the stone chamber, in my opinion. That would be the purpose for the chamber.
Again, it's the recurring motive of the unfollows of the belly button.
Mm-hmm.
There is the Earth's belly button and the self belly button.
Right, and that language kind of, you know, you want to talk about like because people will automatically assume that it's just one spot, right? You can't be mobile, right? And that's where I think the confusion comes into play with this equation, because you can move. You don't have to be stuck in one spot.
No, because in fact, even if that was a problem, the megalith is made to work inside and radiate out its influence into the environment. So there is an area of influence. And then you have another megalith, and then you have another. And so you keep spreading all of that and connected. They are even more powerful. I think that's why the reason they did what they did in Karnak in France. I think that whatever energy they were trying to get for whatever functionality was weakening, and so they like created a system that strengthened the signal, because it's right on a straight line that goes all the way from top of England all the way to the south of Europe.
Right, and it is an artistic approach too, because you're an individual, so you're not going to make the same thing as the next guy.
Sure.
This is the King's Chamber, and what I highlighted was I believe it to be a false door, and a lot of engineers will tell you that, that was put there for the stabilization of the structure. And I did a lot of research to not debunk it, but to try to see if that was true. And I spoke to a lot of engineers, and every time I showed them, I didn't show them the entire structure. I just kind of like cut it in half, and I would just show them, the side of the building with this circle, and I would ask them what the purpose was, and they never were able to give me an answer for that. So my theory is that this is a false door, because we don't see you can't really tell from this picture, but I was able to get inside of where these on the corner edges of this you can go in, and so I measured it, and it's about 3 feet. So it's a huge plug that was put there. And so when we're talking about portals in particular, this is possibly a portal for when the summer solstice. I mean, and also again, like the solstice and the equinoxes, those are just amplifications on top of what was already going on, right? So you don't necessarily have to align it to that day. And there is a grace period, so it's not just like one day. There's about like 5 days. So that's my theory on that.
Yeah, when you go to Indonesia, you'll find what they call the soul gate or the soul door, and their megaliths have these tiny openings that are more or less that size. Some are smaller, some a little bit bigger, and a person can fit
right
and through that hole, right? So I'm a little resistant on it being a false door, but since you talk about solstice, and I understand what you're trying to say, it's not a false door in the sense that I perceive that is something that can be activated and connect to another place, like a portal, like you find in Halsaflieni or several.
Well,
other places
I would like to ask you, acoustic wise, what would be the purpose if we were to have something like this? Would it affect it acoustically? The structure of the granite.
Well, it had to be tested, but considering the sound is supposed to be introduced from the outside in, normally, it could be used as a regulator.
Interesting.
Yeah, because when I was doing experiments, I was doing sidewall to sidewall to create a standing wave. And like I told you, since they are all different sizes and shapes, what I was doing was like, rudely calculating. So if it's like 9 by 8, you know what I mean, then it would be this acoustic resonance, right? So that's where you would get like the 111 or more, right? When we're talking about creating a standing wave.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like to jump in here for just a second.
Sure.
American Stonehenge has a structure with a portal a lot like that.
That's nice to hear, because I have them. I don't think they're on my slide here, but I did find when I work on ArcGIS for fun. I love GIS, and so I realized that Mystery Hill looked like in the shape of a turtle. And then I realized that it kind of looked like a medicine wheel. And then what I did was I overlaid their map that they made with their alignments, their solstice alignments and whatnot. And I called them and I had asked them if they knew that they had a medicine wheel. And the guy said, the owner said, no, those are old logging trails. So I went ahead and I did some more research, and I wound up realizing, yes, they did do logging back in the 1800s and 1900s, but however, we're missing 4 trails. So if we were to negate those out of what was going on already, why are we seeing this alignment? And then on top of that, where the heart would be for the turtle, and anatomy wise, we can only speculate, right? Why they would put up these 7 stones in this particular area where the heart is. It is aligned to Pleiades. And when I did the declination of the 9 degrees, it wound up being about 4,000 years ago. So that number comes up a lot.
Also a contemporary of American Stonehenge, Mr. Hill.
Right.
I wanted to jump in if I could as well. And I think you're really onto something here. It looks like it stands out as a false door. And I wanted to ask if you think, have you done any clan studies, or like you mentioned, turtle or turtle effigy or clans in that area? Did those tribes have a clan like the turtle clan? And
so this would be the Wappinger tribe. And as far as when we're talking about bands, so the Stockbridge Munsey Mohican band has taken over my area in a way of like responsibility. And so they have, and you could see on their flag is that they have a turkey, a bear. I have to look it up now. I feel silly. Hang on.
Turkey, what that represents, Vince, do you know?
I'm not quite sure. So that's why Sean would be great to talk to, because he's obviously the expert.
Well, I guess what I was getting at is it does kind of, from what I see, it looks like the head of a turtle or a snake head or something, effigy.
Well, the snakes are predominant. So so the top left is a wolf, the right top is a turkey, the bottom, and then when you follow it down to around the circle would be a turtle, and then the bear. So, but we do see, we have a lot of Karens in our area, and the Karens sometimes represent a coiled serpent, and you see that they do have heads on them. And I have a friend, Nancy, who's, we're all independent researchers, but we're doing the same thing. So we wouldn't say that we're in a group, but, like they're in the group. And so she realized that there was a chamber. I call it the Queen's Chamber. Everybody calls it something else. And in the right-hand corner, and it's like clear as day. I'll have to send it to you, Vince, because I had been to that chamber plenty of times and I never even saw it. It looks like a snake head, and it's like purposely put there. It's almost like a guardian that it's like looking at you. And like I told you before, like I have the chamber that I call the guardian chamber. That is a snake head. I would classify it as a snake head. It's obviously like a huge, glacial erratic the size of my car, but it's also just a snake head. You know what I mean? And like I said, that from an aerial view, that chamber itself looks like a body of a serpent. So, who knows?
I think that's key to understanding their clan and their symbol. This was like a ancestral clan symbol that they held in great importance and identified with. And so it makes sense that it's right beside the door looking out, and it's like their protector.
Right, and exactly, a guardian.
The guardian, right. And they had that all across the East Coast. Around the world, every tribe had clans, so this is no difference here, and it really fits well with what you're seeing, I think.
Yeah, we do see the serpent all over the world too, so I thought that was very interesting. When we're talking about a global civilization, maybe the serpent was something that represented, obviously an importance, where they could say definitively, like, this is our worldly clan, like this is this, when we're dedicating, like you said, like one animal or whatever, when we get into animalism.
The cave that I was speaking about, that the shaman didn't recognize the acoustic properties, it has actually an extremely long and enormous snake, all carved from the inside of the cave to the outside from the outcrop. So it's like a, I don't know, 50 feet long snake.
That reminds me of the one in Australia, now that you said that.
Yeah. So it's snakes are...
I'm pretty sure Vince has a photo of the snake's mouth in the Mississippi Valley.
Yeah, they had similar ones in Illinois, and they even used them in Mount Pisgah, North Carolina.
And that's what I love about, when we're talking about, cultures in general. And we in the United States, people want to just segregate so much, you know what I mean? And then they're like, how could they, I hate this, how could they travel from here to there? It's like, well, are you forgetting about the water highways too? Because, like, they did have boats and it wasn't that hard. It's like they didn't have to jump on a camel's back to get there.
We had boats.
We had boats. That's right.
I learned here
And they
that
didn't
their
have to
canoes
smell
were
like a
longer.
camel.
Ricardo, do you not have the jingle anymore?
I know it was a funsy joke because
you
we
had
did
the
have
little
camels here.
animation. We have boats. Remember, Sarah sent it to you. So whenever it comes up, you could act like a pro and
She
throw
didn't
out. We had
send
boats.
it to me. We have the
You've got it in the. You know what I mean?
yeah.
In the studio, so like you could.
Yeah, but between
It's not going to work now because we've set it up. But
between you started speaking and me pressing the button, it still hasn't come up. And I already pressed it 3 times. Maybe because you're sharing, so maybe it doesn't work when we are sharing.
Why, Sarah? Because we had boats.
There it
That's
is.
great.
Universe unveiled. Absolutely. All right. Let's get
Now I'm proud to be on this place.
Oh,
I'm just looking for that picture of that snake to show.
And your multi-window problem on the other side. There we go.
So yeah, some of the monks traveled by boat too. St. Brendan
Yep,
the
the
Navigator
coracles.
probably wasn't the first one.
and they did an experiment because somebody tried to debunk them about the coracles and said that they were too small. And they had recently, I think, in the last 5 years, that some kids did it and they were successful. They made it here.
Yeah. Yeah. St. Brendan's leather boat made it a round trip apparently, but if so, it almost had to have been treated with copper sulfate, tanned with copper sulfate. That would keep the barnacles off of it.
I did
Yeah,
a
'cause
thought experiment where I did during even like the Ice Age, where we're talking about coming from France to America, and if they were to go across the ice, like how would they get there so fast? Is that they were using like dog sleds per se, but not dogs, but dire wolves. And when we're talking about how much larger they were, it's quite possible. And I think the travel time was 28 days or something like that, or maybe less than that. So it's possible that they were able to travel and they had travois. So they were using, they were not idiots. They knew how to get around.
I want a dire
Right,
wolf sled
and-
now.
What's that, Jason?
And a giant sloth. Those are
Yeah.
those are going to be my 2 modes
Oh,
of
giant
transportation.
sloth, yeah.
Giant
I
sloth
don't
and
think they
dire
could
wolf.
do that one in 28 days because it was still a sloth. But maybe the short-faced bear, which the natives
Yeah.
of North America called the long-arm bear, they could probably run 45 miles an hour for a little
Yep, they
bit.
were pretty scary.
Yeah.
I would not want to be around back then.
Wow.
I'm sure the
I
dire
tell
wolf
people all
would
the time
love
we're living
Jason.
in the best time.
Yeah, I'd get along with a dire wolf, no doubt. And a giant sloth. They both have parts of my personality. I don't know. I just always, when I fantasize, Sarah, about or whatever you want to call it, conceptualize, try to imagine this Ice Age peoples. Yeah, I often imagine. Now, there was one of them that rode a giant sloth, at least.
Yes,
If it
I
wasn't
thought
a
that was
thing.
I'm sorry. I thought this was in Australia.
Where is
That's
this
the one I
Ricardo?
was talking about.
This is. Let me see if I have the description of where it is.
Yeah, Rhino Cave.
No,
Botswana.
this is Rhino Cave. Yes, Sodzilo Hills, Botswana, Africa,
All right.
not Australia.
They have one in
70,000 years
Australia.
old.
Maybe they look similar.
70,000 years old.
But that one also, they were talking about the depressions inside of this when they were scanning it. You can see along the bottom part here, along the side. They were saying that was obviously on purpose and maybe celestial, like a map of sorts.
It might be. But I was making a confusion. That's not where the shaman didn't recognize the acoustic tail. The one of the shaman is called. Just a second. It's just too many articles. There it is. It's called Pirunkirku. And this is on the Kali Mountains that are in Finland. So I can share an image of it just to mess up with Jason. And this is the entrance of.
I just got it back.
This is the entrance of the cave.
Nice.
Yeah.
Just
So
the
they
shape of
do-
it alone, that just tells you that it's acoustic.
So, and this, where is it? Yeah, you can see the map here of Finland and where it is. And it's on a cluster of them. But the thing is, the shaman was completely perplexed and not giving big matters to the fact that he was. Well, this is somehow, Jason, what we're talking about, knowing how to create the pigments, knowing how to mix the colors to create a Rembrandt, but then they can't paint it. They can explain it, but they can't do the actual painting, right? In this case, it was the shaman either lying or being truthful that he could produce the painting, but he had no idea how the painting was produced. It's the other way around.
Right.
So it was
Yeah.
just funny to me. You can share now. I won't stop you anymore. Sorry.
Are you sure? Are you positive?
Yes.
Are you sure?
I am.
I mean, you
Yeah.
got some more pictures. Has anything popped into mind? Maybe you want to look at a castle and talk about some Templars for a minute.
We're getting
Right.
some
Yeah,
weather
go
on
back.
my end. I'm probably going to have to shut down here. So,
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Sarah, it was very nice meeting you. I
Yeah.
hope to get back, and I will watch the rest of this as soon as I can.
It was very nice to see you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And we'll get her back to chat with us too, for sure.
And
Okay,
Rick,
that works.
go and rest. Okay, go and rest.
Yes, be safe. Go and rest.
Okay.
And be safe, bro.
Bye,
Good
guys.
seeing you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Rick. Thank you, man. Yeah, absolutely. I forget where we were now, but are you done? Are you done, Sharon? Are you sure? Templars,
have-
castles.
I
You
only
did
have
make
more
I have a question.
298,000 files to share. That's fine.
I know. Go ahead, Vincent.
Is the property in the stone fort? I guess is it in a public land on?
That's on the state land. Yep.
Okay,
Nice.
so
Nice,
it's
nice.
accessible at a state park, or
Yep.
what's it called? I mean, for anyone who wants to visit.
It would so it's under it would so the way the Taconic Parkway is, it kind of cuts across Fonsstock, so they classify it in Fonsstock. But so like anybody that's just like how to be fair, I kind of like I set myself up for a disaster because I put myself in a bubble and I didn't want to just like ask other people that had been there. I wanted to kind of go down that journey myself, and so I did suffer finding it. Plus, I was busy with my life, so it took me like 3 years to find it.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's really and then there's like 2 access ways to get to it. The original one that I tried was way out of the way. It's probably like an hour and 40-minute hike, and then the one that I use right now is I'd say 30 minutes.
okay. Well, it's amazing, great find. And can you tell us more about the artifacts you found?
I can't talk about the one that I found, but I can finish that story that I was trying to tell you before. So in the beginning of my research, I heard about a dagger that was found, and so that kind of piqued me a little bit. And so through the grapevine, the original story was that it was an anthropologist and archaeologist that was a lady who was from Vassar College, and so she found it. And when she it was a black obsidian dagger. So what she wound up doing was it was 10 inches long, and she sent it to a university, and they were doing testing on it, and then it just disappeared. So that's actually a false story. And the real story is that this guy named Phil, there was at one point in the 50s, I believe, the Boy Scouts funded so they built a pavilion and then a house for the boys to go to in the summertime. So they were literally sleeping next to the chambers and just like using the landscape. And so they were doing a tour, and they had him because he was an archaeologist, I believe. And so one of the little boys got curious, and he put his hand in the back of the chamber, and he pulled this dagger out. And Phil took it from him because if you know anything about foot napping, especially with chert or even obsidian, it's very, very sharp. And so he grabbed it from him and
got a scar.
That's not good. So a lot of Phil's peers had tried to take it from him to do some independent testing on their end, and he didn't trust anyone right off the bat with that. So what he did was he had it tested on his own, and he did get it back. Not really quite sure where it is now, but the testing from him, according to him, was that it came back because they can check the isotopic analysis, right? So it came back from Iceland and allegedly 10,000 years old. So when we're talking about an artifact being older and a building, you can't necessarily say that the building is 10,000 years old. However, what you can, you can concur that it was put in there at some point between 10,000 years ago and today. Well, I mean, 4,000
Sarah,
40 years ago.
We learned here that even artifacts that are found underneath, in undisturbed soil and underneath platforms that are dated, and they are still considered to be fake. So Vince has taught
right, and I'm not on the other side. Trust me, I'm not. But when we're talking about this is just conjecture as of right now, because we don't have any definitive proof at the moment to say that it was or it wasn't, right? So I just, it is a story too.
Does it matter when it was put in there? Because if I remember what I've learned from reading archaeology, that they date stone structures based on the organic materials that they can find in them. So they tell us that something's 3,000 years old, for say. That's because they found a pottery shard that was fucking 3,000 years old. That doesn't tell us anything about
so the artifact that I found was below the lintel stone, and I'll tell you as much as I can in regards to this, because it is classified under NAGPRA just verbally, and I have a really good relationship with them right now, and
you don't need to risk that.
All right. Okay. Well, my point is that so when you're talking about things in situ and being not in just like the walls of the chamber on what we can see today, right? So this is the floor that we're talking about, and it was through. So the hole that I used for the endoscopic survey was the size of the endoscope. I didn't dig or anything. It just went straight down this little bit of a slit that was there. So when we're talking about something fell out of somebody's pocket, or I'm telling you right now, no one would be able to, as an individual, pick up a stone from the floor. I call them floor lintels, and move it in such a way to put this said item there. So this would indicate that it was put there before it was, So when we're talking about Sardinia, and you've heard me talk about them before, is that we're talking about a great one being interred first, and that the stone chamber was built above them. And so when they do their incubation rites for, the rite of passage for maturation for the young boys there, their job was to soak up all the energies from the great ones. And, we get into the aspects of them having to be deprived from their senses and food and water and all that good stuff. And so I'm sure they were up all night because it was a ritual. So whoever knows, I don't live in Sardinia, so I can't speak on behalf of them on exactly how this ritual was, taking place. But you would assume that at one point the kid had to stay up overnight, at least one of the nights. And I think being a young kid, you would really be up anyways because you're worried and you're going through a process that you can't really sleep. I don't think, like, unless you were like you were so stressed out where you were like, I'm just speaking from personal.
Well, sometimes these initiations involve what we would consider to be a near-death experience,
Right.
because it's not exactly the one in the chambers that I think you are talking about, but most of these initiation rites are a rebirth, and so they represent that by going into darkness, which is inside of these structures, especially if they have chambers.
Right.
Going into the dark, put to sleep, or put into a horizontal position, or put into an altered state of consciousness.
Right. I was going to say, we don't know if they were given any chemicals to alter them
Sure.
before they went in.
Or
so
the chanting
is also
itself.
a factor.
And the standing waves could create that just by the chanting outside.
Right. Right.
So, and then is wake up, which is coming back to life. It doesn't mean that he has sleeping, but the returning to life, it's caused at dawn, so, and through water normally. So it's like a birth. The waters of the mother
Right.
burst. So you come into the dark and emerge into life through the waters into the light. So you see this in the Osirum.
Yeah, I was going to say, I would love to see how this is applied to Egypt, because clearly we see these, these offshoots from the Nile going straight to even the Great Pyramid. So why the water had to even go that way, right? So
the Osirum
is applying the water.
The Osirum is a classic example, because you go through the tunnel. The back tunnel takes you into the darkness. You would be placed in a stone box, which people call a sarcophagus, but it isn't. You would be placed in a stone box. Some of them are, but you'd be placed in a stone box. You go through a life and death experience, or a near-death experience, and you are revived at dawn, and you go through the water, and you have the pillars, then you have a lake, and you have straight into the sunrise. So you emerge then through the water into the light, and you are initiated. So this would be a normal process. The Templars are still using it. You can see it still in Sintra being done in the 20th century. They were still doing that. So you come through a waterfall into the light. So you go into, you take an inverted tower, you descend into the underworld, you pass the night in the underworld, and you emerge through a waterfall at sunrise, which is coming through the water into the light. So it's always the same.
That sounds so fancy. As an initiation, as an Eastern Star, it was just so basic. I came from like the back closet to the front area. It really wasn't much. I was quite young at the time, so I didn't know much at that time.
He's got video.
But now that I'm older, it's so funny looking at it back. It could have been a little bit more grandeur than what it was.
Someone could have thrown a bucket of water.
Exactly. Like, let's make it worth it, right? You're wearing white anyways.
Welcome.
That's funny.
Oh, goodness. Okay, do we want to get back to some more slides? Do we want to keep chatting? Let me share first. I'm going to do that in this sucker here. Did we talk about that?
Yeah, we did. Kind of. This is the visual of it.
Anything else we want to hit on for this visit? Obviously, we plan on having you back as much as you want to come back. But are there any particular items, since I'm your hands here, you want me to focus on or move towards, or am I good here?
I kind of put everything in order. For maybe if we don't get to wherever we need to be, then that's fine. We can always
we'll just pick back up. Okay. Yeah. Sweet.
And this is just an infographic talking about how you, as a human, have piezoelectric effects and within your skin, your bones, your DNA, and your heart. and what happens as you go into the stone chamber, how it affect you.
Of human field.
You can explore there. You have I don't know if you opened the Google Drive that I sent you, but you have one folder completely dedicated to body influence, and you can see what they found out about. Then they are replicating it in labs, so they know it works. It's not fantasy. It actually works.
This is a picture of Gunjiwamp, and this is not the tomb chamber. This is another chamber. They're in the there's a small group of people that are fixing it right now because they had a huge storm a couple of years ago that inundated the area that really compromised the foundational structure of this building, unfortunately. So they're trying their best to put it back together. But this is just a great shot to show you from the summer solstice. The window in the back there is shining into it. So when you walk in, there's a small niche. They call it a niche or a room. And I noticed recently that on this lintel stone, for the room, there is an isosceles triangle. Whether I'm not quite sure what it has, how it would, play into this calculation, but I'm assuming that it means something because it's there. But inside of that stone structure is in that room, it's corbelled, and then it's capped with a blue stone, which is very fascinating because we see most of these are made of granite. And so to see out of 73 or 72 at that time, to see another, it's just, I was blown away because I wasn't expecting to see blue stone because, like I said, they're mostly made of granite. So then that's what my brain started to realize, that maybe, we are thinking about heart and brain coherence. And when we're activating said parts, individually, is this a good example of that, and how they were applying it. I didn't live back then, so I can't really, I can only speculate about that.
Mm-hmm. I find it fascinating that in this example, the light is not going straight through the middle of the
I did too. It was definitely deliberate.
It is pointing to a stone that is different.
Yeah, there is a larger stone there. So like when we're talking about like the timing, I guess you can put like the timer on when you need to like start getting into that said room. You know what I mean? Maybe when they saw this beam of light coming, this plasma coming into this and then hit that stone, they, start moving your butt over here. It's like time to get into this room. But it's also a very small room. So off the bat, I realized that maybe this was not meant for an adult. Maybe it was made for the child. And some sort of like a healing room, not like a radiation room of sorts. Who knows?
The height doesn't increase after you go through the threshold?
Once you get through there, only, I would say 3.5 feet. It's very small.
Could an adult be seated?
You could, there? Yeah, but you would have to be in like a fetal position.
Well, that makes sense with what we are talking here.
Right. Yeah, being reborn. Yes.
Yeah.
This is just the same picture, but two different shots of it. And one's a little bit closer than the other. But it clearly shows bluestone. And I'm very familiar with bluestone because I have a Shokan reservoir 15, 20 minutes from my house. And I started out my research studying there. I was going there like 6 days a week. Every day I would drop off my kids from school and I would just go there and just explore. And they were known for bluestone quarrying. This is just cool.
Very cool. Sorry.
This is just like an infographic talking about heart and brain.
Go ahead.
So this is just highlighting why an individual would want to have heart and brain coherence. What are you benefiting from? And we're seeing that you have sharper thinking, you're emotionally balanced, your physical health can increase, and you also have a deeper connection because when we're talking about why I feel like when I connect them to Sardinia and we're talking about maturation, when you're mature, you're able to have a not even just compassion, but you're able to have tolerance towards another person, an animal, just your environmental surroundings. Because when we're talking about, when we're going to connect this with natives in particular, not like just natives do this, but they really care about the water. They really care about the conditions of the environment and what we're putting out there. And, when we're talking about our carbon footprint, right? So that's why I think that heart and brain coherence is really important, and why I feel like maybe these stone chambers could be involved with that.
Absolutely.
This is something that unfortunately we lost many, many years ago.
Well, we're talking about it right now, so I mean, it's not necessary.
It's not lost.
It's just
right.
not mainstream.
Yeah,
Right.
Rick would say it's not lost. We still know it. But
Yeah,
but
I
it's
agree
not-
with Rick. I'm not ganging up on you. I'm just
Right.
saying.
but it's not used in the sense of culturally to the masses is not something that is understood. In fact, they are suffering from the same technology but used against them instead in favor,
Yup.
because it's constantly
Yup.
causing the imbalance in the body, the imbalance between the center of your chakras in this or that culture, or of your energy alignments of your heart, your brain. It's constantly being disrupted, so they suffer from it but still deny that it exists because they have no notion. So I
Right.
find it
My-
very ironic.
My people suffer from lack of knowledge. Yep. Suffer for lack of knowledge is definitely our condition at the moment on the whole.
I think Vince was trying to say something, but he was on mute.
Oh, I was going to say,
Vin?
I mean, yeah, it's not lost thanks to you. I mean, for you presenting it and being the steward of the knowledge and really sharing it with us. So thank you.
No, I'm not the only one, Vince. I don't want to take credit for anything. I know that I'm talking about it. I'll always say that I'm not the first or the last. So I don't want the credit. I really appreciate you talking about it in that way, though, because it does matter. Because a lot of people, maybe when we're on the same wavelength of not wanting to be very social, and the only way to get the information out there is to be social, right? So
Yeah.
I think maybe if you can break through and talk to other people, not just necessarily like-minded people, but find a way to get over your own self and get out there, because if people take it, that's great. If they don't, great. It's not going to really hurt me. I don't take it personally. So
Yeah, but I think it deserves mention, and it deserves some honor and some compliment, because although you could have known all of this and shared nothing, right?
Yeah. Right.
And some people do, but they don't share because either they don't want to, or they think people wouldn't be interested, and that's beside the point.
well, finances
you-
get involved too. You have to understand that people want to make a dollar off of this. So,
Right,
and
sure.
if they don't, if they do
Right.
share it with other people that are like me and you guys, we're giving this information out for free. And what does that do is that can completely, destroys their whole platform of like making money, So,
Yeah.
and then we can talk about how the government works and why our information that is positive and forward thinking and will be for a global uplifting of our consciousness, if you want to call it that, why they would want it to stop. It's not about
Right.
being an independent thinker. It's because when you think, you cannot be told what to do because somebody's going
Right.
to say, hey, I don't want you to talk to me like that, right? So
Right.
it's not like they're not going to go to work. I mean, some people will obviously protest and be like, fuck work, I don't want to go to work. But I don't think the entire economy will collapse because somebody was thinking,
Right.
Yeah, but before I had some notion, but before I went to medicine and work with J.P. Shears, I didn't have a real awareness, and I could even accuse some people of some gatekeeping. But there I learned that it's a world that is not black and white, because a lot of these things are on private land. A lot of these things or these studies have been paid specifically by this or that people to understand what's there, but not to be shared because otherwise it will be destroyed. So
there's so many offshoots to that too, because when we were talking about shaman, with Dave, it's like, when you're talking about a mediator of sorts, so like a medicine man or someone that was supposed to have like that experience, and then they disseminate it to the public, so that they get like, you can lead the horse to water, right? That analogy. But the issue is that was their, that's an individual journey, and you're really not going to understand and appreciate that knowledge until you do it yourself. And so for a shaman or someone, a medicine man to tell you, that's cheating. And that person is just getting they're hearing it, but they're not feeling it.
Right.
And that's completely different, then the knowledge is lost, and it's you're just talking to the wall, and the wall got it, but what is the wall going to do with it?
It's probably going to ride it on itself.
It's a catch-22, whatever way you look at it, really. You can, like I said, you can take your, like 5 different aspects of it, and then from there, like I said, offshoot it to it always going down to a catch-22, because there is so many outcomes to those answers, it's not just one. It's never going to be just one.
I've been finding that, and I think Vince too, much more than I do, is the biggest obstacle is the official organizations themselves. They are the biggest block to the evolution, the study, the testing. At least, Vince, am I lying? Because
you're right.
It's not the lack of interest of public, although there is not much, but it's not the lack of interest, because the ones that are interested are willing to go all. They are willing to put I put my whole money for you to go and do that testing. I don't care.
Yeah.
Right?
Sean from the Red Road Reclamation says all the time that people want to know about their history. It's the government that is preventing them from learning, and even when they do repatriations, they leave the community out. And the community wants to be there to see their ancestor reinterred. So, it is a personal, it has to be, because if it wasn't, you can bring the institution into this because they're a part of it. But people are people, and they're going off their own morals, right? So it has they're immoral, that is a problem.
Well,
free will is a bitch, isn't it?
Yeah. I will repeat this many times, but I learned from Fred and Jermaine Pigeon that because of their trying to preserve this site, Powers Bluff or Skunk Hill, the methods that they were using to save and manage to kept saving it plan after plan of the city hall, they were using that experience to the other parks of the state and neighboring states to don't suffer the same bullying from the native people. So for instance, if they defend, look, these are not buckrubs, these are market trees, right? Because the archaeologists went there, the chief and said, no, that's not a market tree, that's just a buckrub. That's just 150, 90-degree angles in the same area.
Right.
They aren't.
Really not. Right.
And so what they did was they communicated to the other parks and said, all the trees that you find that have signs of being a market tree, cut the limbs out, because someone will come and want to protect the site because of it. And they cut it down. Right?
Which is so asinine, really, because when you think about it,
it's unbelievable.
We have Mawignac in Catskill, and they kicked natives out in the 1800s, 1830s. And what is it now? It's a park. They had 3 villages in that area, and now nobody's there. It's like a ghost town. It's for what? You would get aggravated. And it is you would get an aneurysm of sorts, because you're just you're not going to get an answer. It would not make sense. And then for sovereignty, they don't want any issues with our government. So I can understand why they don't, and they piggyback off of people like me, Vince and I and Jason and you. And so, they don't want to be the ones that stand up and say like this, because then it will be a retaliation, and then they feel like they'll lose everything and start all over again. So it is it's politics. And I always said I wasn't going to get into politics, but here I am.
Yeah, well, Beth Sulis have protected several sites, and they're now trying to protect
Ricardo,
the site.
Hit that quote from Scribe Jehudi. Bring that up on the screen while we're talking. I did not know that. I'm shocked. I do not like that place for many reasons, what they do to local economies and everything, but I didn't know that the founder of Bass Pro Shops has one of the largest private collections of Native American artifacts, over 75,000 registered. He owns a lot of what used to be native land as well, so he's got a fetish for it. I hate all these weird white dudes that have fetishes for things and they hide them from us because they got a bunch of money.
Well, he might think he's protecting them from other people.
Right.
Not always
No,
negative.
no. His company destroys local economies. Bass Pro Shop and what their stores do to the local economies is fucking pure shit. And the tax breaks they get to then come into the economy is terrible. Anybody that pays attention can tell you this. And right now, the Bass Pro Shop that is here in Prattville, dude, they ran over native mounds. Like, remember when I met the dude that drove the bulldozer down at the Mobila site, and he was educating me about how the whole area is eat up. He's been driving a bulldozer, Sarah, for like 30 years in this area. And he said, yeah, right there where they were building the Bass Pro Shop, he was like, man, they hit a mound and drug. He said there was pottery, bones. He said they brought in an archaeologist and just put up a little temporary fence and, don't go that way anymore. And that's all they did. He said, you can still go see it. There's a fence up. No markers, no nothing. Just they destroyed the hill.
Did they bring in tribal historic preservation officers?
No.
They have their own archaeological department in every single tribe.
This entire town is on native places. Every neighborhood has just about had to stop. Mobila, which I located, is under. I found it because construction workers pushed the shit into a creek. This whole town is on native mounds and burial mounds. And that's what the guy who was driving the bulldozer was telling me. He was like, man, it's all over. He's like, everywhere you go around here. I was like, I know. That's what my research tells me too.
The case that Vincent is one of the situation that Vincent.
But now I know why they probably fenced that shit off, because the owner of Bass Pro Shop was like, what? Let me get some of that. I have the largest collection, and now it's larger. That bothers me. Sorry.
Just trying to say that the archaeologists were all against it. And the director of the park said, no, bring the bulldozer. Take half of the mound that is bigger than the pyramid, the Great Pyramid of Egypt. Just take a big chunk out of it. No archaeologist, with a backhoe, no control, nothing. Right? And they still not answering to him because they didn't have the permit and they did it anyway. They didn't care. And now there is nobody's responsibility because the guys that are there now are not the ones that were there then. And so, and that's how things go.
It's so weird. We have so many movements, but yeah, we don't have people to stand in front of these bulldozers. Because I'll tell you right now, if I was down there, I would have been one of the ones that was doing that. I don't care if I was by myself.
Oh, yeah.
Vince, what you have to say about that?
Yeah, I mean, it was a unfortunate thing that happened, and it should not have been allowed to happen. That they took out at least 80,000 cubic feet of this mound, which is about 3% of it. But that just shows you the magnitude of the site. But I wanted to share something, and you mentioned earlier about the medicine man and the knowledge that they transferred. And well, that's a great thing. And it's really important that they conveyed that information to you and that you've preserved it. And I wanted to share this letter. This was a letter to the editor I published this week in the Mountaineer about a medicine man and the practice in the Cherokee of having this rain medicine. In December 1880, the Cherokee medicine man from Macon County in the western mountains of North Carolina said the carved stone images were rain medicine. Medicine men used them to bring rain, and whatever makes of the objects, the motif is unmistakable. That the people once carved and prayed to call water and live in the right relation with it. So it's important that you've had that same type of interaction with the tribe and have preserved the medicine.
It wasn't given to me easily, Vince. I just want to I know it sounds like, I just asked a question and they gave it to me. This is 5 years of not pressing, but asking. And what happened is that I didn't corner him necessarily, but I was giving him information that only someone that had these experiences, like a medicine man would what's the word I'm looking for? I kind of I guess I passed the test when it comes down to like what I was able to learn, right? And whether I'm allowed, he never said I couldn't speak about it in public, right? So when we're talking about, being respectful of the wishes for data not to be out or to be out, in the public, this is why I'm talking about it in this environment. I was talking to him about these certain situations that had happened at the Stone Chamber, and like I can get into a little bit of it if you want me to, but
yes, please.
I think so. When I found the King's Chamber the first time, I found very quick story is I was lost, and I pride myself on finding places. I'm pretty good, and I was turned around, and so when I found out where it was, when I turned, and everything happened really quickly, is there was this huge dome. It was probably like 300 feet from the chamber around it, and it was thick. It was like a cloud, like a really like thick cloud, and my phone was at 86%, and I just had this urge to like go through it. And like I said, it was all happening so fast. So like, normally I would probably like, no, fuck that shit. I'm not going to do that. This is crazy. Like this whole situation is crazy. And so I did it anyways. And the moment I went through it, everything went away. And my phone went to 4%. So my goal was to get a video and do a survey of the chamber. And I was able to do that. And I'm legally deaf. And so that particular day, my phone stopped being compatible with my hearing aid. And, nowadays they have to be connected, otherwise they won't work. So I had that experience. I went home and I started talking to my husband and my kids. And I was like, wow, I can really hear you guys. It's just really odd, and then initially I didn't put it together about what was going on. And then, throughout my research, I was like, holy shit, like this chamber scan me inadvertently, you know what I mean, like, without my permission, and like see what was wrong with me, and then give me a gift of sorts, because I'm not religious, and I would not like consider this like a somewhat of a spiritual experience, but it was a experience that I cannot I can't scientifically explain right now, and I can only tell you what happened, from my end. And so obviously these were stories that I had brought up to him, because when you're talking, about being on a mission or trying to like get through to people, like this was something that was powerful to me, and I knew that it wouldn't sound crazy to him. And so at first he was like, if you called me 20 years ago, I would have just hung up the phone because you're an American. And really, it's not that I had anything to offer, at that point in the conversation. But since I had told him what was going on with my research, and I told that story after, and the moment I said that, he stopped, and he was really like, you got my attention, like something touched you. I can't tell you. And he was not upset, but he was just like, how could a white person, I'm pretty sure, like this is like he said, he didn't say it out loud, but I'm sure that's what he was thinking, was like, how could this kid, I'm 40, but to him, I'm a kid. And so how could you be the one to see this and have this experience? So at that point, that's when it opened up another opportunity for me to get another layer, I would call it, of what they are, of knowledge with them, because you're talking about trust, and you're talking about like, and I wouldn't even consider this like a trust conversation per se, but I think, like I said, he knew that the jig's up, like I had that experience, and he can't take that away from me because I saw what I saw. Right. And so at that point, he is an honest person, I'm assuming. And so he was like, just so you know, like we did not build these. And this was from a completely different time, like a completely different world that we don't understand right now. So it's not that we can't understand it, and we won't be able to, because if we keep pushing at it, I'm sure we will. We are, have that ability. And so I just thought I was really lucky to keep pushing and find out, something other than the little people built it, or, some, like you said, like that nobody's claiming them. Yeah, they're not going to claim them because it was from another culture, another completely different, race from them in a way, even though they are, blood.
Right.
That's what amazing. I see is definitely, I mean, I hear everything you say, but I can't help but see design in it, because that guy was asking, why you? Okay, well, because you're going to be the one that's going to talk about it. That's why. And how do you get somebody emotionally invested in a topic if they're supposed to be the mouthpiece, right? How is that?
You give them a gift.
You give them whatever word you want to put in it, God just says, hey, you, all right, now she's going to fucking talk about what we need her to talk about, right? Because she had a intimate experience that altered her. Only Sarah would, this experience would affect this way. So that now she not only loves this stuff, sort of has a passion for it, but she has a palpable hook into its reality, right?
Thank you for that. I appreciate your answer. That's amazing.
Tammy gets all the credit. I keep saying it because I probably wouldn't have gone public with any of that, because that is the woo-woo part of my, experiences in my research. So, and there's been
we don't use that word here. We just talk about parts of reality that dumbasses don't want to see. That's kind of how we refer to it around here. And I say that playingly because we're trying to freely educate everybody on it. We're getting well over our 2-hour mark here. So I'm probably going to say this for everybody, Sarah, that we'll get ready to wrap with this soon, but we're going to do that with a complete and total open invitation to come back either to this platform anytime you want. You're welcome to see Ricardo and I on The Shaman and the Philosopher anytime you want, or come have a chat with me on Finding Things, and we'll talk about the really woo-woo shit.
I can do all of them, whatever you guys want me to do. I'm not going anywhere now. You guys kind of adopted me at this point.
Well, yeah, that's what we were after, here, and that's what we're after tonight, and that's why we love our audience that stays with us and goes with us through all of this. I learned very quickly, Sarah, that when I was going to start communicating and sharing stuff, I'd found and all of that one thing and only one thing helps, and that's fucking practice. That's just doing it, right? So when I see you and I see you setting out on this journey, and to me it obviously seems to be a very divinely inspired one, whether you use those words or not, then hey, don't chew on power chords. Have you lost it? You've really lost it, haven't you?
Not yet. Let him give a good bite and you'll see it.
But that's why we really wanted to invite you here tonight, and why it went excellently. And if you don't stop chewing on that damn cord, I'm going to take you outside and force you to listen to fireworks.
Well, your lights went out, so he did something.
Yeah, I know. I ripped the cord out of his mouth. That's why it went out. I saw the lights flickering, and I was like, "No, sir." But our point very much is to encourage Sarah in her journey, and absolutely to just give you the experience of doing this.
I appreciate
it. You saw Universe Unveiled. You were there with them, and they probably told you might have come up into conversation that shit, it wasn't 3 months ago, and you couldn't get one of those girls to think about going live. They would just look at you side-eyed. And here, just a few short months later, you're going to hear them say, if it's not live, we're not doing it.
Heard that.
And the only thing that gets you there is doing it.
Right.
And so that's why we're happy to have you, and you're welcome back here to, again, I think you designed a newer one for us. So if
I'll have that all set up for you.
I don't want that to be a waste. I definitely would like for you to be able to come back and share that with us here. But any platform, mainly what we want to make sure you understand is, if you do want to be a communicator, then just fucking come hang out with us when you want, and practice it, because that's all there is to it.
And now you have the emails of more people from the Institute.
Right.
Yeah.
Vince is leading one of our researchers, and he's our top investigator because he has lots of experience. So anytime something is difficult or needs to speak to organisms or something, Vince is extremely how should I say it?
He's proficient with his FOIA.
Proficient. Thank you very much on doing that. So,
absolutely. So there are many. We all have different abilities and talents, and we've all been in this independent researcher game in different ways, and all of that. And the more of us that are at table, the better. We say it a lot, but it's true. We all have pieces, right? Your work lines up with my work, whether it looks like it or not, is kind of what I'm trying to say. And it's sort of what I've learned is it's the same. That's why we started this show, because I had Vince on as a guest and we had Rick on as a guest, and we're like, man, their shit's like our shit. Let's just do a show because it all connects. And I feel very much the same way about what you're working on. So welcome anytime, and congratulations.
Thank you so much.
You're doing a great
and
job. We know you like to be humble like the rest of us. Ricardo doesn't put his name on movies. You know, Vincent's a little better. Vincent's learning to boast about himself. But I kind of like to encourage everybody because, well, we are also genuinely humble, right? And much of what we are doing is for people that are dead or people that are not us, right? Or for everyone. So I like to sort of bring the little, yeah, but fucking that deserves applause, right? If you don't want applause for all the things, the fact that you are putting it out, it deserves a pretty big.
There are pieces in museums that was Vince that found them. So
yeah, Vince is going in and actually
going
to Smithsonian and going, no, let me see it. I got a picture.
Vince,
they don't want us to tag team because I'd be doing the same thing.
Yeah, Vince came to me like I saw a very quiet person, right? And then he started to sit behind the microphone and said, no, I have this piece here. And then he turned around, no, and I have this piece here, and I have this 3,000 pieces here. And he has lots of material and lots of research. And we just learned very recently that apparently his father was also interested in this, right? So you keep discovering these pieces, and Vince is an extraordinary person in this regard.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
It's yeah. So it's a team of many talents. So.
Well, Ricardo doesn't know what the hell he's doing, and I don't either. And we just figured that we find enough people that do, and we'll be all right.
I know what I'm doing. I'm uniting people that has what I don't. Talents.
Oh, that's it, man, bro. You got so many talents. Don't even open us up to have to spend another hour congratulating you and all you do behind the scenes. There's a reason you're Presidente. And there's a reason that I think instead of shaman, we'll just go with shithead. Do you think the board would vote that in? The IRS would have a problem if my title is shithead instead of shaman? I think we'll just go with be more fitting. I love all of you guys.
Won't agree with that.
Chat, we have very much enjoyed all of you. Tammy, Scribe, Steve, we see you all there. Octopus was here early. I think I saw Amy, all the usual criminals. Thank you very much for joining us on this journey. Thank you very much, Sarah. Guys, please go find Sarah. Links have been dropped. She's all over the place. And if you like what you see, then come see us at the Institute for Natural Philosophy Discord, because you can hang out with her and him on occasion when he's got something to promote, and me. We will all be there. So if you too are an independent artist, activator? Yeah, that's a new one. Activator instead of activator.
Are you a site activator? We are in need of one.
If you are a site activator, I definitely want to talk to you, because we have similar talents, all of us around here at the Institute for Natural Philosophy, the Roundtable. Come see us, guys. This right here, this young lady is a prime example of what we mean by when we say we want to meet you because we are you, and we want to help you do what we're trying to do, which is get this information out to the whole. And thanks for helping us do that, Sarah. And I'm sure we will be seeing you on one of our platforms again very soon, whenever you're up for it.
Yeah, whatever you guys want.
Scribe, Thoth, Ricardo,
much.
Thank you, Vincent.
Thank you.
The man,
Nice
the
meeting you,
legend.
Vincent.
Don't go
Officially.
anywhere.
Nice meeting you too. I appreciate it.
Everybody hang out. Everybody in the chat. We will
Very
see
fond
you
farewell to you all.
tomorrow on one platform or the other.
All right.